Boop, boop, boop. Yay!
Hi, guys!
Hello. Good evening from Bonaire, where today we are inside the boat. When I planned this live, I thought to myself, a great opportunity to show the sunset. 5:30 p.m. on our side of the world is it's great because we watch the sunset together, but it's not a good time for our friends in Europe. Sorry, guys. I really wanted to show the sunset, but
it is raining.
It's been raining all day. So at some point tonight, we're probably going to have to run to go close the hatches that are open, because the catch is it is raining, but it's also really hot. So
playing the hatch game here.
But hello, everyone. It is so good to see you. We are already seeing familiar faces in the chat, and it's awesome. Hi, Alan. Hi, Joel. And Tenny, I guess. I assume that Tenny is with you. And Heidi and Franny. It's so good to see you. All right. Oh, we have people from Hawaii, Holland.
All over. People up
Arizona,
late in Europe.
Cedar Rapids.
Oh, yeah.
Cedar
Iowa
Rapids.
Representing. I just had my Iowa hat on. I don't know what I did with it. Anyways.
Yeah, Ryan had his
I was told to remove it.
Iowa hat on. And I told
even
him
Australia.
Oh, wow.
That's
Australia.
good.
That is... What time is it in Australia? Okay. Montreal, Texas, Switzerland. Salut Montréal! I'm a little bit sad when I see Montreal because we're gonna talk about it. Okay, so we gathered you tonight to talk about where we are spending hurricane season this year, which it feels a little bit self-centered, but
Why do you think that?
I think that it will be fun because, like, wow, we're going live just to talk about where we're going.
Yeah, but then we can have normal discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Afterwards, we're going to have a chat with you. The thing is, when I planned this live, I really should have planned it next week because this live is going to completely spoil this week's video. So I did that to myself. Maybe we should have had this live next week. But it's fun to see you. We really wanted to do a live because we think that they're really fun. We love hanging out with you. So,
what are we doing for hurricane season, honey?
Okay.
We're not staying in Bonaire because we've been asked to leave.
Yes. So last week, which was day one after we overstayed our visa here in Bonaire, and we're overstayed, but we asked for an extension. So we knew back in April that we wanted to stay longer than our visa allows us. And there's been a lot of boats overstaying their visas in Bonaire, which has been generally accepted because of COVID. There was nowhere for the boats to go. And so immigration was very generous and flexible and allowed those boats to stay. But COVID is about to go away, hopefully. The world is slowly reopening.
Long story short, the immigration has started doing their jobs again. So we got a visit from them, and they asked us why we were still here and told us that we should probably move along. But we've gone through the proper channels, and yes, Jules, Sophie almost got a second visa violation.
No, I never violated a visa.
No.
That is not true.
We are still above board because we've asked for an extension. We have to have an appointment, and the appointment's not for another...
Oh, it's actually next week.
I don't think it's next week. I think it's the 17th.
Anyways, we are above boards. When immigration visited our boat, we told them, listen, we have an appointment. Everything is good. They were really chill with us. So everything's going to be okay. But
we want to move on from the ABCs and actually do some sailing.
That's right. So we're going to tell you where we're going, and we're going to proceed by elimination. Staying in Bonaire is no. It is not going to happen because we've been here for 4 months. We are overstaying. It is just not going to work. And by extension, we are not going to stay in the ABC Islands either. Curacao was a lovely island, but it is not the best cruising ground.
I mean, to be fair, we could stay here, and we could go to Colombia, and we could go to Panama. We've talked about that. It's all kind of outside the zone.
Okay, so you're already in option number 2.
Sorry. I jumped the gun.
You're jumping the gun a little bit. You're getting a little ahead of yourself. Okay. So option number 2 was going to Grenada, where a lot of people spend hurricane season.
Yeah.
We have also elected against this, and I don't think that it was ever in our radar to go spend hurricane season in Grenada.
Not yours for sure.
No.
I could consider it.
I don't know why. For some reason, spending hurricane season in Grenada doesn't make me vibrate. I feel that I just said something terrible.
Yes.
That was very bad English.
No.
It's not my jam. Okay. So Grenada, never really on our radar. Another option that we considered for a hot minute, and we did think about it, was to go south to Brazil.
We did, but then we realized how far that was and how inconvenient that was going to be. So that went out the door in about 20 minutes.
Yes, but I thought that this could be a cool way to spend hurricane season, do some sailing, go to some more, unexpected places. For a hot second, I was there. Okay, option number 3 was what our friend David is talking about, which is Panama and going west. Continue through the ABC Islands, stop in Aruba, stop in Colombia, go to Panama, San Blas, and then maybe go up to the coast of Mexico.
Yes.
Why did we elect not to do that?
I don't know.
Actually, I don't really know either, but
it's still an option, but we're not doing it. I mean, let's just put it this way. If we get delayed heavily here, then that might be our plan, our backup plan.
Yes, true. It is. It's not a bad option in itself. We know that eventually we are going to go west. We know that eventually we will go there. But because in 2022, we want to go on the east coast of the United States. It will be the 3rd time that we try to go and spend hurricane season on the east coast of the US. We don't want to go west to Panama and then go back east. It's maybe a bit weird, but we don't feel very appealed by that option. So that leads us to option number 4, which was going to Canada. And just as a reminder, if some of you have not been here before, we cannot go to the United States. I mean, we can. I can't. You could.
I can.
I cannot go to the United States. Not yet. But in a year, I hopefully will be able to. So option number 4 was to go north to Canada, more specifically Nova Scotia and maybe Quebec, via Bermuda. Ryan.
Canada via Bermuda.
Yes.
Why did we not do that?
That is what I asked you. Why did you not do that?
The borders are still closed and there's no end in sight for that, unfortunately. We really wanted to go to Nova Scotia because we hear it's beautiful there. It's like the Canadian Bahamas, although a little bit colder. And we wanted to go there, but no dice as of yet. So that leaves us with our final option.
Yes, which was always kind of on our radar. And it is that drum roll. Yeah, we're going to go sail straight from Bonaire to the Azores.
Yeah, so we're going to do an Atlantic circuit, I think, in the next 7 months. So we're going to go Azores for the summer, Madeira and the Canaries for the fall, and then come back over here. We're calling it our long way to Grenada.
That's right.
What we're calling it.
We're calling this plan Grenada on a beam reach. Here's the thing. We love offshore sailing, and I think that when we decided to move on the boat, and I'm really spoiling this week's video because that's what we're talking about in the coming video, we didn't want to just live on anchor in beautiful tropical places. And I mean, it's great. We love doing that. I think that our time in Bonaire has been really fantastic. It's been very nice being able to focus on different projects that we could maybe not do when we're always on the move. But being always on the move is really what we like about this lifestyle. And for the last 12 months, we have sailed 0. We have done no passage. Our very last passage was from Saint Martin to Curacao.
About 500 miles. That was
about 4 or 5 days of sailing. And since then, we have sailed nothing. And we feel ready for a big adventure again. And we feel that crossing the Atlantic not once but twice this year is just that. And I will quote our friends from World Towning, Will and Jessica. Jessica was on Instagram the other day, and she talked about revenge travel. And this is going to be our revenge sail against COVID.
We hope it goes well. We hope it goes better than COVID.
So yeah, we're really, really excited about going to the Azores. I
think it'll be about 2,700 miles from here. So a solid 3 weeks for us, maybe more, depending on the winds.
So yes, Doug, you are right. It will be a much longer sail than our crossing from Cape Verde to Martinique, which is fun. This is what we like doing. We like pushing the limits of our comfort zone. The crossing from east to west is also a little more technical passage because we're going to have to deal with different weather patterns and find an optimal route. It is a much more weather routed passage than the passage from Cape Verde to Martinique. So from a sailing and passage making perspective, I think that it will be a fun one. It could be a challenging one too, because we will be leaving at the end of May, which is when tropical storms can form up the east coast of the Bahamas. So hopefully we don't run into them, but
I think the nice thing with the routing is that, like, if we're coming up out of the Caribbean, we notice something's happening, we can always stop before we leave the Caribbean, and then it's to the Bahamas, which is about another week or so. And if we need to stop there, if we need to head that direction, it's a little bit farther if we do that, but we can. And then from there, as long as we don't stop there long, the weather, as long as we don't get too far into July or too far the end of June, we should be all right, I think. But the weather's been crazy lately, so we will see. I think the big things we're waiting for is we're going to have crew on this passage, which is something we did not do on the last one. So we're going to have one person joining us. And then the only other thing is we're waiting for some new sails.
Yes.
And hopefully they get done before we need to leave. But we kind of have a drop dead date of the end of the month.
Yes.
To go. So if we have them, we have them. If we don't, we don't. And we'll have to get them shipped.
Yes.
Onward.
You're also really, oh, wow. Yeah, the super chat. Thank you so much, Christine and Alessandro. That is very sweet of you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so you're jumping ahead a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
I don't have the cue card.
Thanks, David. We have been spending the last month here in Bonaire preparing the boat for some serious passage making, and we have been preparing ourselves. So I saw somebody asked if we were going to do some shakedown sails. So here's the thing. We were initially going to go pick up our crew in Saint Martin, and the passage from Bonaire to Saint Martin, which is, I don't know if you can picture yourself, but it's south of the Caribbean Sea and north of the Caribbean Sea. And then we were going to start the crossing from Saint Martin to the Azores. But there are two things here. The first one is that the entry requirements in Saint Martin are a little bit difficult. It is also expensive. So the PCR test would be between $250, $300 for Ryan and I just to enter. And then, a stopover in a big passage costs a lot of time because you stop, you clean up the boat, you settle, you rest. So you're probably like 1 week, 2 weeks, and then you start again. Whereas in the configuration that we're choosing to do, which is to depart from Bonaire to the Azores directly, what we can do is first off get in a routine, and if everything goes well, that's perfect. And we have two contingency plans. So if anything goes wrong, we have the option to stop in Saint Martin and Bermuda. So Bermuda and Saint Martin are the contingency plans. We have been training for our big passage here in Bonaire. We haven't talked much about it. I'll make a little video about how we prepare ourselves for Atlantic crossing number 2 and 3. But we have practiced our heavy weather sailing skills. So we've been practicing heaving to. We have tried raising the storm jib. And we have just tried different sail configurations and different tactics. And so we're really getting ourselves ready for a little more technical sailing, a little more heavy weather. And we've been getting the boat ready, which the boat is in pretty good shape. I think that it's actually in better shape than it was on our first Atlantic crossing.
Yeah, Stephen just asked, are your electronics and AIS working? And so, yeah, the boat's like in pretty good shape. In fact, we've just been doing like upgrades most of the time on it. So far, all the electronics are working. We've had one issue with our Raymarine chart plotter, which is fine. They're 15 years old. It's just one button not working, but we can't dim the screen or turn the radar on without that button. But luckily, one of our awesome community members had an old unit
in Lithuania.
They're getting rid of because he was upgrading, and he was really kind to send us that unit because they can't get the button
that
or any of the parts.
Was amazing. And
super awesome.
I cannot pronounce the name of this person. It's like an Eastern European name. But if you are in this live right now, thank you so very much. You have no idea what it means to us that we're going to be able to, one, dim the light in the cockpit at night, and two, be able to turn on the radar from the cockpit. It's the small things, but on a passage of 3 weeks, it makes a big, big, big difference. So thank you so much for your help.
So yeah, absolutely, I agree with Sophie. It's super amazing. What else are we doing? We've got a little fresh water leak in the bilge, and we've had that for a long time. And I think I've narrowed it down to the refrigerator condensating and the hot water tank leaking. So we don't like to have water in the bilge when we go offshore because we don't know if something else is leaking. So we have a new water heater coming in, and we've got to get that installed, a new bilge pump. I think that's all the big stuff. And then, yeah, the new sails. Somebody asked, I don't remember who, what our sail plan was. And so when Sophie and I went out a first few times sailing here in the harbor, we realized that we have a pretty big mainsail, and then our head sail is 140% Genoa. And the boat just heels over really hard if we're into the wind at all, and the wind's above 10 knots or so. And if we furl it in, the head sail, the boat doesn't like to point very high. So we decided that it would be wise of us to invest in a smaller jib for this passage, because there's going to be more upwind sailing. So we're getting what I'd call a higher cut jib. Our tracks don't go very far forward, so for a jib, we need to have it a bit high cut, the cloop. And then we're also getting a light wind sail. It's a downwind sail. We'll see if we actually use it. That we have been longing for many years. It will have our logo on it, so stand by. It's going to be super cool.
Yes. So I can maybe talk a little more about our sails.
Yeah.
When we crossed the Atlantic the first time, we crossed with a very old school sail setup, which is that we had 2 Genoas that were pulled out. And the reason why we did that is because we didn't have the budget to invest in a big downwind sail. And for us, because we had an old Genoa and a new Genoa that we had bought, because the old one was a bit like, it didn't work very well. It was old. All we had to buy was a second whisker pole so that we could pull out the 2 sails. And we had a really nice canvas area to go downwind across the Atlantic. The downside of this sail setup is that in very light wind, it would not work. And it was actually very annoying because the wind would catch one sail and then tip the boat over, and then the sail would backfill and then slam the boat in the other direction. So we would be making no speed. So we always told ourselves that once we cross the Atlantic, should our future plans involve another major crossing, we would invest in a downwind sails. And those sails, they are not super cheap. But we have been extremely fortunate that we reached out to Precision Sails, and turned out Precision Sails knew who we were, and they were willing to sponsor us with a new high cut jib and a new Gennaker with our logo on it, which, guys, investing in a new Gennaker for us would have been a huge cost. we could have never afford to have our logo put on the sails.
Yeah.
And those guys came up with like a bunch of really fun designs for that big Gennaker, and we feel extremely grateful to Precision Sails, but also to you guys who subscribe to our channels and have made it that Precision Sail knew us and were willing to sponsor us. So
it should be pretty fun too, because what we're hoping to do with them is to have a couple live sessions like this with some of their sail makers, because I've learned a lot in the process about sails, and I'm sure a lot of sails is kind of like a black magic art to me. So yeah, it'd be cool to get some of the guys that really know this stuff on, and have all of you be able to ask questions, and we can talk about our experiences on the boat. So that's in the works and planning. So stay tuned for that. That'll be exciting.
yes.
Yeah, sailmaker. Oh, the jib. Doug asked about the jib size. Jib's going to be, I think, 115%, but it's pretty high cut. So I would say technically it's about 100% sail size. But I think for our boat, it's a really good size because our main is so big that it's going to be just the right amount of power, I hope.
Yes.
So we'll see. But it needs to get here. We're a little concerned it might not. So if it doesn't, then we'll have to meet it somewhere else.
Yeah. So fun fact about sails, and I think that I'm pretty excited about this video that you're going to make. Ryan's going to make a Ryan's Tech Corner about sails for cruising, because we knew nothing 3 years ago when we left the dock about sails. And sails are this really technical piece of equipment, and I think that we're now, with hopefully this new jib and new Gennaker that are coming, we're in a really sweet spot with our sails. And so I'm really excited about this video that you're going to make about what is our ideal sail wardrobe for cruising.
Yeah, somebody just asked if we tried heaving too, and yeah, we have. That's actually why we went out in the bay a couple of times, because we really wanted to try the technique. And it's during the day here in Bonaire, it's usually blowing like 20, 25, so it was a good time. We could just go out and it's protected and try. We've had varying degrees of success with it, and you play around with a lot of stuff, and you can really see how small changes can change how the boat sits in the water. Generally it's been working. We raised our storm jib, which we have never had out of the bag. It came with the boat. It's like crispy, still new, even though it's like probably 10 years old, 12 years old. We got to use that. And even on the day that we did that, that's really when we learned about sail size, because that sail's quite small. And that was blowing about 25, 26 knots that day. And we still managed to get, with 3 reefs in the main in the storm jib, we managed to sail 6 knots with the boat. So
it goes to show that with sails, it's not about the amount of canvas that you have out. It is about the shape of the sails. And we found that having as little sail as possible, as little canvas as possible for the amount of wind that we're getting, really puts the boat in a nice position to sail efficiently, comfortably, and fast. So it was really a good lesson, and I'm really happy that we went out and trained. We happened to do it at 6 a.m. in the morning, which was fantastic time to do that.
We were up early trying to sail. Oh.
But yeah, so we're very excited to try this new high cut jib, and I think that it is one sail that I completely underestimated before we started thinking about this second Atlantic crossing.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully we get those. It will be really nice, but if not, we'll make it work. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got left, and then the normal checks on the boat.
Yes.
We had dropped the rudder in in Curacao, and I noticed when I was installing a new drive unit for the Autopilot that I had not put one of the plastic washers in the right spot. So I actually have to disassemble the connections of the rudder in the water here, which should be exciting. But yes. I think it will be okay. So that's maybe next week's project towards the end of the week. And then we need to run up the rig and check the rigging here and fix a few small things there.
Yes.
So yeah, but in the meantime, I started a fun project. Can I talk about that or no?
Which one?
The one outside.
Oh, you're really going to spoil the entirety of next week's video.
Okay. Please, I can't. Please hold off. Sorry, guys. Okay. What I can say is that I've been working on a really fun project, and it kind of, I think we're frozen.
Oh no. Oh no.
There we go.
We're back.
We froze a bit. Sorry. Oh, I was going to mention, guys, so we are in the Caribbean right now, which means we're Caribbean internet, which comes with Caribbean problems. So sorry if we get a little fuzzy sometimes, and if there's a delay. Sorry about that.
Yes. Okay, so you were talking about your fun project.
My fun project
that is coming in this week's video. I'm sorry, but like at this point we have spoiled so much of the video that's coming Tuesday.
It's good. This is really good, and I'm super thrilled about it. Although it's not quite done because I realized so some of what Sophie and I have started to get into, instead of just doing like sponsorships like what a lot of YouTube channels do, is we've tried to get more into working with companies or products that we believe in and use ourselves, and start doing a bit of prototyping and taking new products and taking them on the boat and seeing like how we use them, how they work in like an everyday cruiser's life, and how they can be made better. And for you, that's really fun because that's some cool stuff we can talk about.
Yeah.
And for me, I like to nerd out
and
try new things.
There are some times that your experiments are not always super successful, and that is a bit of a downside.
I maybe blew something up on the boat yesterday.
I was not very happy about it. But
2 days ago.
Okay, we have to stop talking about it because it's in this week's video. Anyway.
It's big suspense filling, but something blew up on the boat, and we were pretty certain I blew up quite a few things.
So we have two questions here. What is a bobstay? Do you already have a bobstay or equivalent? What is
we
a
have
bobstay?
We have a
Answer that. I'm going to go get myself a beer. Guys, get yourself a beer. You deserve it.
Can I have some water?
Yes.
So we have a bowsprit on the front. There is no bobstay that holds that in place. So for instance, for a Code Zero, so we have that in place that we could use a asymmetric or a cruising chute. We do have a removable forestay on the deck that we always keep in place offshore in case the main forestay breaks. And that's also the stay that we use on the storm jib. So that was something that was added after the fact, but it's been good, and it's just a backup because on a boat like ours and most modern boats with swept back spreaders, if you lose the forestay, the whole rig's going to come down. You don't have really a lot of time to fix that. So we keep a second stay in place, but it's removable just in case. It just creates a little hassle if you want to tack because you need to furl in the sail and then unfurl it. But yeah, Sophie's opened the wrong beer. So yeah, that's that question. Was there another question you were looking at, honey?
Yes, it was one that talks about our power generation system.
Yeah, I'll come back to that question. I didn't notice that yet. Let's see what else has got going on. So yeah, so there's been lots of fun stuff happening on the Polar Seal. No fires, but we did have an explosion. I mean, it didn't result in a fire. It just blew up. Like mad scientist.
Okay. May I ask what kind of maps you're using? Do you use paper charts? What is your opinion on tablets, iPads as chart plotters with Navionic boating apps? That's an interesting one.
We used to always buy paper charts, but it's super unpractical nowadays. So what we do is we carry a Navionics set on the chart plotters, and then we each carry a Navionics set on our phones. So we have like 3 or 4 different devices with different power sources that we can use Navionics on. The only exception to that nowadays is when we go offshore, we keep a large Atlantic chart. So it's essentially, it's about the size of this table, and it covers the entire Atlantic. And then what we do is plot our position on that chart once every 24 hours. So if we do lose our navs, we at least know where we were, and through some dead reckoning, we can figure out where we are. And then from there, we can figure out where to go. So I have a sextant on board as well. I've been trying to learn to use that. Hopefully by the end of this passage, I'll have it figured out. So I've been doing some studying and reading on that. So just need to get out and practice. So yeah, that's what we keep on board. No, not really paper charts anymore. Just a lot of backups of electronic charts.
Wait, Watermaker, can you get me one too? I would absolutely invite you over for a beer. I would love that. Guys, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you for the super chats. That's really super sweet. Thank you. You didn't want to talk about our system to generate power on board.
Well, I guess I can do that now. I was just going to,
I can talk about it.
Yeah, but people always have questions, so I was just going to see if anything else popped up.
All right, well, you do that. I answer the question. So one of our big challenge during...
Yeah, you did forget my water.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks for that. Kevin, thank you for that reminder. I totally forgot.
Well, sorry. Okay, so the big challenge that we had on our first Atlantic crossing was our power generation. We have 680 amp hour of lithium batteries on board, which is great. We have about 1,000 watts of solar panels, which is amazing. But the first week from Cape Verde, we had a really weird sea state, and our autopilot was working really hard day and night, 24/7, while we had clouds for an entire week. And so we had a really hard time keeping up with our power consumption in the batteries. Since that exact problem, Ryan installed a huge alternator on Polar Seal. So we now have, do you want to talk about this alternator?
Yeah, we got we have a video about it. It's kind of a special kind of alternator. It's from Mark Gracer. It's another thing I'm trying. It's an alternator. It's a 180 amp alternator with a serpentine belt on it. So we had to do some modifications to the engine. But it's great, and it has a wake speed 500 regulator, which works great with our lithium. And long story short, the thing's just it's like a small generator. It's awesome. So we have that along with the solar, and so I think we're going to be all good for this passage. The other big thing that we did electronic wise, I mean it's autopilot wise, is that we have 2 autopilots on board, but we'd only had 1 drive unit, and the Raymarine linear drive units are pretty bomb proof, but it's always like this thing that scares me because for this passage there'll be 3 of us, which is a little better, but if we lose our autopilot on passage, it's like throwing a crew member overboard. So short of losing the rig, losing the keel, and losing the rudder, this is like in a hull breach, I guess. This is the thing that but those are pretty catastrophic. This is the thing that scares me the most because it's just like taking a crew member and chucking him overboard. And so it's doable. We can sail without an autopilot, but it just changes our life a lot. So we got a second drive unit. It's not installed. It's just like a backup one. So I invested a little bit into that.
Yes.
But anyways, this power. So yeah, we have the solar. We have this big generator, and as long as we have diesel fuel, we're good to go. But so it's all good for passage.
Yeah, I think that we're in a much better place this time than we were the last time. And also, so you talked about losing the autopilot. That actually happened in our first Atlantic crossing. Oh no, we froze. No. Please come back. Please. Oh my God. Caribbean. Oh, we're back. Thanks God. Caribbean internet. No, so during our first Atlantic crossing, we actually lost our autopilot for 2.5 hours, which happened to be at the very end of my shift, of my 6-hour shift, which happened to be at 2 in the morning. And so I had to stay an extra 3 hours up waiting for Ryan to fix the problem. And thanks God you fixed the problem, because those 3 hours of hand steering, they were not pleasant. Okay. Did you find any other question? Somebody asked me, I don't remember your name, if I saw your email about the pizza stone. And guys, something very, very sweet happened in the last few weeks. It is that people want to send us stuff, and I would love to receive a pizza stone. Trust me, there is nothing more than I would want. But it is very complicated for us to receive anything in Bonaire. And that is why, I think that somebody wanted to send me some lavender oil, which I adore. That was such a sweet gesture. But we just can't receive things here. It is expensive. We have to pay duty, and usually it takes 2 or 3 weeks. But I will answer. I will try to answer. We've received a lot of emails lately. It's been a lot, but I'll answer. Thank you so much. We have had
stuff shipped in, but it's a big orchestration of lots of moving parts. Somebody's asked, Sebastian asks, what is my favorite meal that Sophie cooks?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question. I'll note this by saying I am not a big foodie. Like literally, I will just, if it's just placed in front of me, I'll just eat it. And it, like Sophie's very passionate about a food, and I'm not so passionate about it. I kind of just, Sophie lives to eat, and I eat to live. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I love food.
I just have to. I eat because I have to.
Food is life.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't things that I don't like that she cooks. So I think 2 favorite dishes is she made it on the video, the lasagna that she made in that video. It's cheeseless, and if you eat it, it tastes like it has cheese in it. It's fantastic lasagna. I remember the first time she made it for me, and I was like, this tastes just like normal lasagna. And she wouldn't know the difference because she never eats cheese in lasagna, but it's really, really good. And we had some friends, the friends that we brought the lasagna to, they said the same thing. They were really surprised about how it tasted. So that's really good. I am also a massive pizza lover. So when I see Pizza Stone and other things, pizza, like I could live off pizza. It's fantastic. And on passage, sometimes Sophie will make either calzones from scratch or some pizza. And because she makes the dough from scratch, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. So on this, that's one thing that maybe we mentioned that we upgraded for this passage. We had a discussion in November about if we should install a freezer on the boat. We have 2 fridges.
Yes.
But we were talking about, is it worth our time to take the second fridge out that we'd upgraded a few years ago and replace that with a larger like freezer unit?
And I've always dreamed of having a freezer, but I'm also a cheapskate. I didn't want to spend the money to upgrade to a freezer, and eventually I caved.
Part of the problem with us being in lockdown for like a year and sitting on the boat has been we don't spend a lot of our money. I mean, it's not like we're like rolling in the dough, but I mean, I still work, and so we have a little bit of income.
Yeah, we work.
Yeah, we still work, so we have a little bit of income, but we don't have anything. We don't spend it on anything. And if I'm sitting here, I go crazy, and I start thinking of things we can upgrade after I fix the things. And so we've done a lot of that sitting here in Bonaire, because I've just been like,
you have.
I've done a lot of. So one of the things we decided to do was upgrade the fridge to a freezer. So we now have a freezer, and it works. So we'll be able to freeze, like make a bunch of food and freeze it before we leave. So we're super stoked about that.
Which is really great. And this passage we mentioned a little earlier, we're expecting to encounter some heavy weather at some point. And for me, like I don't really want to, probably not going to want to cook, even though we have crew this time. You never know what happens. And so for me, having frozen meals that we can just chuck in the oven, chuck on the stove, is super, super important, because I really don't want to cook in 5-meter waves. Although I actually did cook in 30 knots wind, 30, 40 knot wind. I made it work. It's a bit sporty, but yeah.
So that was a big upgrade we made that's going to change our lives on the passage, I think. So we learned a lot from that first passage about what's kind of important and what's not. The other thing that we did a lot of was listening to podcasts and music. So I upgraded our stereo system. Oh, yes. And I just want everybody to know, and James from Sailing Out Equus, if he's watching,
he's probably not,
that my stereo is way better than his. It's so good. The restaurants made me the DJ from out here. So
Kelly said, "I've seen your cook in 6 meters sea." Yes, I was.
Hey,
okay.
So hold on. So James, I just want you to let you know that
Kelly was with us during our worst passage ever. That was fun, between Gibraltar and the Canary Islands, and I was cooking because I was so desperate for Kelly and his wife Linnea. Hi guys, we miss you. To eat something, because we were seeing them being seasick for days on end, and we're like, oh my god, I need to cook. And apparently my cooking gave them more nausea than it helped them eating. So sorry for that.
We've had a question about fuel range for our boat. So we carry 200 liters in the tank, and I carry 2 jerry cans. There's another 40 liters, and we burn roughly 2 to 2.5 liters an hour. So it gives us a range of about 4 days, which clearly isn't long enough to motor anywhere, like across an ocean. This passage is known to have either heavy seas or you get into the low of the Azores high and it's just no wind and you have to motor. And for people doing that, I'm not sure what my strategy is going to be. Maybe we would grab a couple jerry cans more, or maybe we just leave it at what we are. But we got enough for about 4 days, and for me, I'm pretty comfortable with that. So
okay, so James from Sailing Equus is in the chat saying that he will convert the tender garage into a giant bass box. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we have a couple of questions about our Watermaker.
Yep.
Our coffee maker, and it was another one about our qualifications. Those are interesting. So the Watermaker is a really interesting one. Oh, we're frozen again.
I think it's your computer freezing.
Is it?
Yeah, because
we get some messages saying that it was not as bad as we think that
I think your computer's freezing.
Okay, so the Watermaker didn't work throughout our entire first Atlantic crossing, which was okay because we never counted on the Watermaker in the first place. We were very conservative with our resources, and when the Watermaker broke, Ryan tried to fix it, but you were lacking the tool that would allow you to crimp that cable for the Watermaker to work. This time, the Watermaker works perfectly, and even more so, Ryan replaced the motor of the Watermaker, and now instead of making 15 gallons an hour, we make almost 20 gallons an hour. So that's roughly 75, 80 liters an hour. It's a lot more water. So not only does the Watermaker work, I think that we managed to run it between half an hour and 1 hour a day. We should be able to keep our tanks full the entire time. We're still going to take reserve with us because you never know what happens. You need to be prepared for the Watermaker to fail, the tanks to be contaminated, like anything can happen. So we will be carrying jugs of water, and enough jugs of water that we can
drink and live.
Exactly, that we can keep ourselves hydrated. But that's like a reserve. So yeah, we're that's another reason why I said that the boat is in a much better place now, because we actually have a Watermaker, which will be nice.
Yeah, so we upgraded the motor on it. It's the same size motor, but it's a little different one, and it seems to be performing a bit better. And then we put a new membrane housing on it, something that we're testing out. So it's working good, and I'm excited to see how she goes here. So the other thing I think that's big, I mean, we talking about like comparing the Atlantic crossing we did last time to what we've got coming up and how we're looking at it differently. And this is still a big unknown from us because we're going to go the hard way now, not the easy way. So I'll be even more interested to see how I personally feel when we go back across from the Canaries, because that's more trade wind sailing. But we mentally, I think it's an important piece to talk about, is like we talk, in sailing, we talk a lot about the boat, talk about the finances, but we don't talk a lot about the mental aspect of it and how we as people deal with things. And I think that part's really important. So for me, I had a lot of anxiety crossing the Atlantic the last time, like severe anxiety.
And if you watched that series, it is very apparent, but we never managed to put a word on it. So it really is when we edited those videos and we looked at the footage and we looked back at the situation that we realized how severe Ryan's anxiety was. And so it shows, and it shows in forms of frustration and anger, and like you can really feel that you are so stressed and so tense. But this time...
It's a lot of times why you see why the comments on our videos about how I might be an a-hole or other words that people decide to call me. But the reality of it is it's anxiety, and it's not an excuse, but that's what it is. And we have spent the last year working on that a lot back in Stockholm.
But when Ryan says he's been working on it, what he means is he's been going to therapy, which high five.
Going to therapy. I started working with a performance coach, like an athletic performance coach.
Do you want to sell therapy to men, or you call it a performance coach?
No, but I saw two people. I saw a therapist and I saw a performance coach. And no, she was And she was great and really helped a lot. So we're going to see how, I'm sure I'll still be really anxious before we get going, especially since we have a crew member also. But I think it's going to be a lot more, it's going to be just a better experience, I think, this year.
It's going to be very interesting to see how you cope with it this time, given that you now have tools that you didn't have before, and you're aware of how your anxiety manifests itself, what causes it. And also, I think that, just you having the experience of doing a crossing, even though this one is going to be more technical, a little bit harder, a lot longer, I think that you having the experience and having a little more knowledge, I think that it will help too. But it's just me.
So that's the other thing we're doing to prepare. There's been a few nights I've woke up with a little bit of anxiety about things, but it's going pretty well, I think. Yeah. So it's an important piece to talk about, and it's something I think we're going to talk about more on our channel.
Yes.
Going forward too is like the mental aspects of what we do, because it's super important.
Yes. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I was thinking that maybe we would do a little video about your journey with it.
Yep.
But we'll see. It's a lot of work. My God, guys, like we got to talk about those videos. It's a lot of work, but I think that it would be really worth talking about it, because I think that at the end of the day, a lot of sailors and a lot of solo sailors and probably a lot of people going the distance share the same feelings you do, but are probably not able to put words on it. And I think that it would be a good contribution.
Yep.
All right.
So that's that.
Let's turn topics to something completely unrelated, but fun too. The coffee maker. Yes. A year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I severely burned myself while trying to make coffee. It was not good. It was very stupid. I admit that. Since then, I have a drip coffee machine that I attach to the wall, and it's brilliant. It makes great coffee. And I don't have to handle boiling water. So yes, the coffee maker is upgraded. It is great. I can have my cup of coffee without severely injuring myself offshore.
The other thing we have on board is a toaster. And I don't know if it's a salt air one. There's a question about our electronics in this chat. The toast, like we have really bad luck with toasters. And like I would say every 12 months we have to replace our toaster. And I don't have the patience to try to like fix the toaster. So somehow we managed to find a 220 volt toaster here in Bonaire during the lockdown, which I had to do some like knock on the back metal door of a shop, and someone secretly opened it and asked who I was. And I told them I talked to them on Facebook, and then they let me in. And there was like a whole bunch, it was like a speakeasy. There was a whole bunch of people inside buying electronic stuff illegally. That happened to me. So we got a toaster. Our new toaster, third one, fourth one. Run a lot of toasters.
Yeah, we.
But on the electronics question though, we do have a bit of an issue with the salt and humid air with our electronics, especially our computers.
Yes. Oh, someone asked the question. How do we do with that? And here is the answer to that question. The answer is insurance. Yeah.
My computer. It was a few years old though, but right after the Atlantic crossing, the S, D, and F keys stopped working, which makes the whole thing work, and I couldn't fix it. I tried everything. And then your computer, right after that, when we got to Sweden,
died of rust.
And Apple opened it up, and they looked at it, and they're like, the motherboard is completely rusted. So,
which was fun,
But we think your issue was that the fan runs a lot because of the editing.
Yes.
So the editing's really, so we've got like Sophia, it's the computer right now sitting on a big board.
First off, again, I want to say a big thank you. Some of you helped me replace the computer, and it meant so much. Thank you enormously. This time I have insurance on it. I paid extra to have a good insurance to replace it when it rusts, because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And the second thing that I did is to install the computer on a cooling plate, and hopefully that helps. Somebody asked about our qualifications. Should I answer that?
Yeah, you can answer that.
Look for other questions. So, qualifications. It's a very interesting question, because when you operate a private boat offshore, you actually don't really need to have a lot of qualifications, but Ryan and I felt that it was important to have tuition and to not sail beyond our limits. So when we got started, we took the RYA competent crew and RYA day skipper, and we did that over the course of 2 weeks, during which we lived on the boat with our instructor, and we got so much knowledge from our instructor. And then we spent a lot of time building our experience in Stockholm's archipelago, and we really gradually stepped out of our comfort zone. So it's not like from one day to the other, we bought a boat and crossed the Atlantic with zero experience or knowledge. I think that we're pretty aware of our level of sailing, and we try to be aware of, like, we don't know what we don't know. And we try to keep a healthy level of respect for the task that we have at hand. With that said, another thing that I did before we left was to go sail with 59 North Sailing with our friend Andy, which we talked to right before this call. It was fun. We love Andy. And I sailed with him and the crew between the west coast of Sweden and Scotland. So it was an offshore passage across the North Sea, and I got so much knowledge and so much confidence out of that passage on another boat with other people, and I get to see how Andy prepares his boat, and he is so passionate about sharing what he knows about offshore sailing. For me, that was a great learning moment before we set off ourselves. And then Ryan and I gradually went a little farther, expanded the comfort zone little by little as we sailed.
And I think qualification is it's such a weird word, because just because you hold a license for something means in no way, shape, or form that you're like actually qualified to be out there. And I mean, would I say Sophie and I are qualified?
We're not qualified.
We somewhat know what we're doing, but we're learning every day. And I think just the fact that there's so many times I'm out and I'm like, I have no idea what we're doing right now, or like what we should be doing. And we have to stop and think, and it feels so far behind. But that being able just to tell yourself that, like, okay, we're in this, but you can figure it out, and you can figure out the next step is, and you can get the experience get experience in a safe and controlled way. That's where you really learn, and that's when you become qualified. It's not from the courses that you take. The courses that you take are going to teach you how to take a line and wrap it around a winch,
which is good. You need to know how to do that.
But what makes you qualified is all the experience that you're going to get while you're out there. So don't get so wrapped up in the courses, and get more wrapped up into how can you just get out and get experience. That's my best advice. Just go sail, and you're going to learn way more than... And
sail with other people too.
Yeah, absolutely. Which we're not super great at. You are.
We try.
You do more than I do.
Yeah, no, we try. We definitely try. Okay. I saw a bunch of very interesting questions. First off, Jules saying that your rudder can fall off during a RYA course, which apparently happens. It happened to him. So that was fun. Oh man, I had like a really good question that I saw, but I've lost it. Sorry guys, this is live. We're doing the best we can. Did you see anything that you wanted to answer?
No, I wish I could talk about all the fun project I did today.
Oh, well. No, that's gonna have to wait. We're gonna do another live about it. We've had a lot of fun projects lately. Would you mind going and turn the lights on, because it's getting really...
I'm gonna get myself some water.
It's getting really dark here. Okay. You guys ever see any high latitude sailing in your future? Yes, absolutely. Yes. This is another thing that Ryan and I particularly love doing when talking about going out of our comfort zone. We would really want to sail either really far north or really far south. Those are two things that we want to do. But let's be real. Polar Seal is not the boat for us to do that in. I think that by crossing oceans twice this year, we're actually starting to really push our limits, even though she's a great boat. She keeps us safe.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're going to have to go to a more sturdy boat so that we can take that boat to the destinations that we would want to reach. One of my dream destination is Japan, but I would also love to go to Greenland. Ryan and I talked about Svalbard. So yes, northern latitudes, definitely. And that's the reason why we also didn't want to stay in the Caribbean over hurricane season this year. It's because I think that at heart, we are slightly adventurous people.
Yeah, definitely. Somebody asked about when your cookbook's coming out.
Oh, man. Oh, that's okay. Sorry about that. So I've had this cookbook in the works for...
you and I have both had book ideas in the works for a while. The problem is right now we've got some projects going on, and we are like over our heads, and then we're trying to get ready for a crossing too. So we're in almost too deep right now with stuff.
Yes,
so we've had no time to work on
that. Is actually something that I wanted to talk about, because so normally when I make video, what happens is that I have a whole bunch of footage from our adventures, from us visiting places, and in the last month, because we never planned on being in Bonaire for 4 months, I don't have that. So the videos that you see, here is how it happens. I shoot them on a Friday. I edit them on a Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes I don't really have the time to finish them on the Sunday, so I will finish to edit them on the Monday. As soon as they're done, which lately I've had a really hard time finishing them on Sunday, they go up on Patreon for a little early release, and then they're released on the Tuesday. And then the next week I do the same thing again, because these days, I mean, I just don't have a lot of very interesting things to talk about. It's going to change drastically, but there has been a couple of weeks where I was like, what am I going to talk about this week? And so that pace of making videos every week between Thursday and Monday, it's been a huge, huge work. And on top of that, Ryan and I have been working on new projects, started to work with new people, which is really, really fun. Definitely something that we could not do if we were traveling the way that we normally do. But also, dear patrons, if you have experienced that we've been a little bit silent in the last 2 weeks, that is why.
We have been over our heads.
And the early release, I have tried to be good with them, but the thing is, the videos are so real time that it is so hard for me to do an early release. So hopefully, when we have crossed to the Azores, it is not going to be a problem anymore, and hopefully we have a little more, we get back into that rhythm of, I edit 2 days a week, and that's good. So,
but one of the projects we've been working on is somebody asked a question, so I thought about this. Is they asked about where people can get these hats. You can buy these hats on our website, and they should ship out. It used to be we kept these on board.
Oh my god, that was terrible.
They should ship out, and they're actually better quality. But one of my projects is we made some new polar seal T-shirts actually with our, I don't know if you can see, with our boat on the back. So those are cool, but I've been trying to develop my own T-shirt line because a lot of you like the funny T-shirts that I wear. So we're down with the first few, and these are coming out of the dirty clothes because we've been trying.
Oh my god! I can't believe you went fish them out of
check
the
this
dirty.
out. This one's cool. It smells.
Oh, you're on things.
So this one is the Japsco pump. So all you sailor folks will like that. That's kind of cool. That's my favorite one. And then we did a. This one
so
smells
bad.
Really bad.
Oh no, Ryan!
But
No.
This one is a sail it like a charter. So if you're a charter sailor, you'll get that because it's just chaos all the time. That's a good one. And then this one doesn't smell. This one's clean, so you can breathe now. But the Europeans will get this, but you're all in bed right now. So I made this one. That's a European road sign, but we made it a no passing motorboat, sailboat. So there's more of those in the works. We've been developing some T-shirts. They're going to be on sale soon.
No, Antoine, we do not deliver with the smell.
No, they're clean, I hope.
So Ryan has been working on that because Ryan loves funky T-shirts, and for a while you've had a lot of ideas about like funky boat designs, and you've really worked hard at this.
Yeah.
But we're trying to, like, rather than putting out in the world a bunch of like merch or things that don't mean much, We're trying to focus on quality. And so those t-shirts, it's going to be a little bit of time before they can see.
We kind of wanted to do stuff. I love wearing t-shirts, and we kind of wanted, instead of making like a bunch of Ryan and Sophie stuff that like, I mean, doesn't mean you think that like for sailors out there, it'd be some funny joke shirts that you could get from us. And so we've been designing those. We started working with a graphics designer because I can't do that at all.
She's great. Maybe you know her.
Yep. Steffi from Not Vikings. They had a Instagram and a YouTube channel for a while. They're not sailing right now, but she's amazing and has been helping us with the t-shirt design. So we have a few more of those in the works, and then hopefully we'll get them up. So that's one of the projects. I just thought it would be a cool time to show it. Sorry for the smell.
That was pretty bad. Which is we have a washing machine on board now, so we can do our own laundry, which is amazing.
So
okay, so we have a couple of questions. Fuel question: what is your refuel technique with jerry can while sailing? Hive 2, any advice?
I typically I have a it's a like a big funnel with a filter in it, and so what I do is I put that in the thing, and we just sail along as we're going. Not anything too major. Like if it's big seas, I won't do it, and we're probably sailing anyways. So I just pour it into that funnel and it makes sure not a lot spills over, and it works. Yeah, it's this like little fuel filter funnel. They're great to have in case you have some suspect fuel before you pull in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, let's see here, Heidi or Franny, I think, asked about how two questions about how things are going. One is the washing machine. Washing machine's working fantastic.
It's
really good.
It is an absolute life changer, guys. Like I cannot. Here, you're a bit dark, so putting a light on your eye.
Washing machine's good. Somebody asked about the silicone anti-fouling, and that stuff is working really well. There's some growth on there right now, but we've gone out sailing, and I would say like 85% of the growth has come off while sailing. There's hardly any growth on the vertical surfaces, so the rudder and the keel. The waterline is the worst, but it all just comes off with a rub of the hand so far. So we'll see when we get into a bit different climate how that changes. But so far, and there is growth down there because there's some parts that I didn't get the paint on very well, and there's like heavy barnacles on there, but the rest of it, it's just green slime. So, and the prop has a ton of stuff on it, so it's on my to-do list. I got to go down and clean the prop off.
Mm-hmm.
Fun times.
Mm-hmm. We talked about the washer, right?
Yeah, washer's good, paint's good, Watermaker's working well.
Okay, I think I didn't finish to answer the question about the cookbook.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, so since we crossed the Atlantic, I promised myself and a lot of you guys that I was going to make a cookbook of all the recipes that I cook on board, why I cook them, why they're so good, and my little tips and tricks for just making food on board a boat with limited refrigeration space, limited storage space, and very limited space, I guess, period. I think that one thing we realized in the last few months is that the two of us doing all the things that we do is really difficult. And this time we will have a crew member when we cross the Atlantic, and I am hoping that it will give me more time to take good photos of the dishes that I cook, so that I can actually make that cookbook. So hopefully the passage is good and I will have time to work on it. It is something that I absolutely want to do, but I don't want to do it poorly. I want to do it well. If you want the recipes that I cook, I typically try to put them on our blog. We have an entire category called recipe. They're pretty basic recipes, but I think that it would be really fun to write a book with more than the recipes, also the reason why I prepare them and little tips and tricks. So yeah, hopefully at the end of this year, we will have crossed the Atlantic 3 times in our lifetime.
If all goes well.
If all goes well. No. Oh, crew member. Yes, that's a good question. Richard asked. Yes, we have. So we are very rigorous with our selection process for crew members, partly because we've had some less successful experiences with crew, but also because when it is such a long crossing, we're going to be 3 weeks at sea. You want to make sure that you take somebody on that you know their skill levels, you know them personally, you know that you have like some chemistry, because polar steel is a really small space. So our crew member this time is a good friend of ours that we've actually never met in real life, but we've been friend of them.
A lot of Skyping.
For an entire year. Like, we just call them randomly, which is super fun. And it is our friend Annette, who lives on a catamaran. And her and her husband, Willem, have been sailing down the east coast of the US and into the Caribbean. And you may have heard us talk about our friends from Catamaran Supply. Well, Annette is that friend. So she will be joining us here in Bonaire. And we're super excited to welcome her. I think that it's going to be a really fun crossing.
Yeah, it should be good. Should be fun. So, yeah, that'll be exciting.
Jules, less successful. You guys were a gold star crew. You were absolutely amazing.
Except we need to teach Jules how to speak proper English.
You're terrible, Ryan.
Proper English. He'll learn eventually.
No, Jules speaks actual proper English.
No.
Like real English.
Patrick asks a really good and interesting question, and it's an appropriate question right now. Since Bonaire is so environmentally conscious, which it is, if you've never been to Bonaire, it is a small island. It's about the size of Aruba, but the population is only about 20,000 people. And it is unspoiled here. There is wildlife and diving and reefs, and it's just mind blowing. We dive off the back of our boat, and it's like mesmerizing. We go snorkel over at the restaurant, and there's like spotted rays swimming underneath us. It's so cool. So his question is, what is the status of pump outs? And since we've been here, they've actually a local person with the local park organization and the World Wildlife Federation have started a campaign and a study about boats and their tankage facilities. So black water, gray water, what kind of wastewater goes overboard, if food goes. So they came around and did a survey with all the boats. They were people were very open, because they just wanted information. They weren't trying to be the police. They were just, hey, are you dumping your poop over? Not, oh, do you have a washing machine? Is the washing machine waste going over? And so they are even coming around to the boats and taking samples of
actually they were going to come today.
Yeah, they never did. But there's taking samples of the waste tank, because apparently when there's sewage in the waste tank on boats, it has to be processed differently than like the sewage from land, because of the mix of salt water. So they're trying to understand how they're going to do that. But the point being is then they're asking the cruisers, the local community is asking the cruisers, well, what would work best for you guys? And would you be willing to pay for it? So I think they're doing an awesome job, because they're not like forcing something on it. They're not saying you have to pump out and this is how you have to do it at the marina, for instance. Like most people said, yeah, we'd love to pay an extra $1 or $2 a day, but if you have a barge that comes to our boat and pumps us out. And so we'll see what happens, but they're doing a big study on it. There are no pump out facilities here right now. So you got to take the boat. Well, supposed to take the boat offshore and dump it. If people do that, it's another thing.
Yes.
But they're working on it, and we think that's super, super awesome and really proactive of the community here, especially because there's such a small island.
Yeah.
Super cool.
We love Bonaire. It is such a fantastic place. If you guys ever cruise in the Caribbean, Bonaire is a place that...
But even if you don't cruise, it's like usually there's fun. Not right now, but like just come here. Treat it nicely, because it's one of the few unspoiled gems, I think, in the world left.
It is.
But it's
such
really,
an amazing
really
place.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, we have a lot of questions. There are some about hydrovane. Hydrovane is typically a topic that pops up in
on our crossing stuff.
Yeah.
We've talked about hydrovanes before.
We're just not hydrovane people.
No, we're just not. The thing is, in theory, it's a really good idea, and it's the safer idea, I think. But it's in a mechanical autopilot, essentially, that hangs off the back, and it acts also as a second rudder. But it just takes a lot of space to connect back there, and it's a lot of extra weight on the back of the boat, and they're still quite expensive. So we elected not to do that. So instead, what we've done is we have 2 autopilot systems.
Yes.
That's the best way we can describe.
Absolutely. What is the most interesting aquatic life that we've seen around Bonaire?
We've seen a lot of rays.
Yes.
That's been cool.
Turtles.
Some big tarpons. Oh, I guess this isn't so much the aquatic life, but and we didn't see it fully, but we didn't realize that the coral release. What is it called? What is it?
Ostracods.
Ostracods. It's like the coral sperm. And they do it 4 days after the full moon. And we went out once, and we didn't see the full show, but we saw bits of it coming up. And for people who get to see the full thing, it's apparently like being in an Avatar movie with like the blue stuff coming up. And then...
We have been missing it for as long as we've been here. We tried to go one night, and it's actually at the end of one of our videos. I don't remember which one. But we basically saw nothing.
We saw a little bit, but it wasn't like the full...
It was nothing. People are talking about it as if like you are in a magical environment, and it just wasn't that. And then we have been really busy with other projects. We haven't had the time every time because it's on a specific day at a specific time, and we never managed to get it. We have one last chance before we leave.
Maybe,
and we're hoping that we can. We're hoping that we can do it. So yeah, that would be the most interesting aquatic life. And if you ever come to Bonaire, you should absolutely check it out.
Yeah, did I say I saw frogfish? Frogfish is pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
the frogfish. Seen a lot of turtles, a lot of eels. Yeah, I saw a fish I don't want to talk about because it will scare Sophie.
Do you see a shark?
Maybe.
Did you see it?
I saw a nurse shark. Maybe once.
Where?
Over at something special.
Why did you not tell me?
Because it would freak you out, and you don't like to go in the water anyways.
Oh.
They don't bite. That's the thing. It's like I can tell you that so many times.
But I want to know. I want to know what's under.
Anyways, somebody asked about jellyfish. They have 2 types of jellyfish here. They have these like little box ones with these black spots on them. Those don't sting, and they're not even jellyfish, but they look like them. They're super cool. You can like play with them, and they have this like a little electrodes going around the bottom. But they do have like actual jellyfish, like Portuguese man of war and stuff. But they very rare. I got stung a couple weeks ago by something. Aww. We don't know what it was, but it freaking hurt. I had like welts it wrapped around my arm, and not good. But generally it's fine. Like the water polo team practices out here in the harbor, so it's
really cool to watch.
It's cool to watch. Yeah.
Okay, question from Amy. What did you find more mentally challenging, training and competing for Ironman or crossing the Atlantic?
Ironman is a piece of cake compared to, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Cake.
I would agree with that. I think that mentally crossing the Atlantic is really hard because you fight against many, many different things.
I always say when it comes to the mental stuff in sailing, the problem with sailing, it's maybe not as technical as like flying jets, and it's maybe not as, although it can be quite scary.
I'm going to put some more light on this.
It's not as scary as like climbing a mountain. Your strap is caught.
I see.
But the problem is it never stops. So if you go offshore, you're offshore for like 2 weeks, and it's not going to stop. You have to keep going. So if the weather's really shitty and you're not feeling good, it's just not going to, there's no end in sight. Whereas oh, that's very bright. So you may want to point that up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah, that's good.
Does it actually light up?
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So it doesn't stop. And so that's what I find the hardest, is that you just can't get away from it. And yeah.
And also the stakes are completely different. You know, the Ironman, first off, you've trained for it for usually a year. Sorry, guys. You've trained for it usually for a year, but in the Atlantic crossing, granted, you sail, so you train for it. But there is, as Ryan said, there is no stopping. You don't quit an Atlantic crossing. You're in the middle of it.
Like flying, you can land the plane and it's over, or mountain climbing, you can come down and generally it's over. But with sailing, once you go out, like on a trade wind passage, if you're like a day or so from shore, you're not going to turn around and come back. So you're just like committed to it. And I think that's mentally a really hard thing for me and a lot of other people.
Yeah. Sinisteo, you have to specify, is it really that hard? Which one? The Ironman or the crossing? Yes, crossing an ocean can be really hard depending on the conditions that you have. And I remember that for the first week of our crossing, we had a really exhausting sea state. The waves were pretty short, close together, very short periods, and the motion of the boat was just simply exhausting. And it was, Ryan and I were shorthanding, which is fine. We're used to do that. But we were so tired, and we had to deal with a little bit of breakage because typically when you're exhausted and getting in the rhythm, that's when you do mistakes, which we did, and we had to deal with the consequences of that mistake. So yeah, it is hard.
But it's not to say that we hated it. Like this is like a totally different thing.
It was
like
challenging.
we loved it, and there was a lot of aspects we loved about it. But to say that like there's not like mental aspects of it, whoever says it's just easy and you don't have to think about it's lying, because it's not true.
Or maybe are careless, or maybe have a lot of experience. Like we're talking 50 years of 2 crossings a year.
But I think that with Ironman, it's just one day. You just go in one day, and mentally, okay, it's gonna suck for a while, and you just go and you just get done with it. And it does suck, especially if you had food poisoning.
So the mental aspect of a crossing is the most challenging. Yes, I would say that. Especially if, like Ryan, you are prone to having anxiety, then definitely it is difficult. Not to mention the fact that you have to deal with, sometimes you're bored. You know, when things go well on a crossing, you end up being bored.
That actually makes me more crazy, is I just get bored.
There isn't much to do about it.
No.
Okay, was there any other question, Ryan? Your double autopilot system, is it spare parts like RAM and so, or is it installed as a double?
We have the head units. We have 2 separate head units and 2 separate like computer units, if you will. Those are completely independent. Then we have a switch that can switch over everything. We have 2 rudder sensors, but we only have one drive. We only have one drive unit connected, but we have 2 physical drive units, and I could probably switch those out in like maybe 10 minutes. So yeah, I just don't have the space to physically connect 2, and it's kind of overkill, I think. I guess I could do that, but I'm not going to.
What are you talking about?
Have 2 drive units connected.
Oh, 2 drive units connected. No, I think that it's just fine to
just fine how we have it.
To have spare parts.
Oh.
It works well. Is your brother Gundersen, is your long-term goal to sail the Pacific? Absolutely. And I wouldn't call it a long-term goal. Because of life circumstances, right now we are unable to go to the Pacific. And by life circumstances, I'm talking about my current inability to go into the United States. So as long as we really want to do that, we really want to sail the West Coast, the East Coast of the United States. So as long as we haven't done that, we're not going to go into the Pacific. But once we've done that, we will definitely go. My big dream is to sail to Japan. I stand by it. One day we'll do it. Right?
We will do it. I really want to do it. Yeah.
Mark Ryan's word.
I do want to do it. I think it'd be awesome.
All right. It's been 1 hour and 20 minutes. We usually stay on these lives for as long as you guys think that it's interesting. So if you have any questions, just throw them. Otherwise, we'll. It's okay if we wrap it up early. We're typically on for 2 hours. Is usually how long we go. But if it gets boring, we can also call it a night.
Yeah, some people have asked like very, very specific questions to themselves, and instead of talking about that on here, if you email us, I usually will answer emails. Sometimes it's faster than other times, but that's the best way to do that.
Do you have a new cushion for the helm, Ryan?
No, we want to get new cushions,
yes.
But not for the helm. But for down here.
Yes.
That's one reason we're a bit sad that we're not going to Canada, because we had that all lined up. But
yes, we have some good friends in Canada. If you are looking for a good upholster, marine upholster and upholster in general in Canada, they're based out of Toronto and they're called High Seas Upholstery. And they're
we have
cool.
no affiliation with them other than that we know the guys.
Yes, and they have a lot of talent, and they're super cool. And the way that they started their business is also really, really fun. Steve was actually a pilot for Air Transat in Canada, and because of COVID-19 he doesn't fly anymore. And so he started a passion project, which is an upholstery business, and he has so much talent, and they've grown the business to the point that it actually is like super sustainable right now. They're looking to buy a boat, and they will take the upholstery business on the boat and be sailing and doing upholstery from the boat, which is super, super cool. So, yeah.
Next boat, monohull or a catamaran, honey?
I don't know.
I wish we could put polls on here so people could vote and see what they think we'd say.
Can we not do that? No, probably not. What do you guys think? Monohull or catamaran for Polysteel number 2? I mean, eventually we have the last word, but let us know. Like, go crazy in the comment section. I would say catamaran, but if the catamaran that we can buy with the budget that we have doesn't allow us to do the type of sailing that we want, then I want a monohull. Does that make sense? I mean, here's the thing. Lagoons are okay boat. They're cool. I would live in a lagoon, absolutely. But would I take a lagoon to Greenland? Maybe not. So, but with the same money as a lagoon, as a good lagoon, you can get a Garcia.
Somebody voted for a submarine.
Yes,
I would actually consider that.
No,
that would be so cool.
Absolutely not.
It would be, dude. It wouldn't heal. It wouldn't like bash in the waves.
Yeah, like
it'd be super smooth.
Talk about
you wouldn't even know.
Talk about enjoying the landscapes.
Yeah, you get there in total comfort, and you just rise above, and you're in this beautiful place. That would be cool.
Absolutely not. Okay, so what are you guys saying?
Lots of monos, more monos.
Arga, I am with you. But because the Explocat only started to be produced when this year, really
last year,
we are not going to find a used Explocat because they simply don't. There are no used Explocat, but that would be cool. So if we ever have an Explocat, we would have to commission it, which is $2 million. Yes, Ryan calculated. And let us just say, no.
It is our dream boat, though. I would buy one if I had the money.
Yeah, but like we are never going to have $2 million to put on a boat unless something completely extraordinary happens. But we don't play the lottery, so I doubt that it will ever go. You guys are pretty mono.
I played a lottery.
Yeah, you played. You haven't seen catamaran, aluminum monohull to go north, cats. It's pretty 50-50, I would say. Trimaran.
Oh, so while you're looking at that, somebody's asked, or a couple people have asked, if I miss flying. And that's a complex question. I don't miss professional flying. I do miss, well, this is professional flying. I do miss flight instructing. That was a job I did not expect that I would enjoy, but I did. So I missed that a bit, but there's no money in it. So, and then I miss flying recreationally with friends and stuff. But if we move back to the US, I'll probably pick that up again, but not in Europe. And we don't have any money to fly right now anyways, because it's quite an expensive hobby. So I can only either sailboats or fly airplanes, but not both. That's just how it's going to be.
Yes. Dave Sutherland said, sorry, so sad you're not coming to see us. I know. I really wanted to go to Canada. Canada was my absolute number one top dream destination. And I'm pretty sure that we will make it to Canada eventually, but just not this year. Canada still has its borders closed because COVID-19 is a bit of a mess at the moment. And so we will let Canada recover. And when they feel ready to welcome visitors again, we will more than happily come and come sail.
Yeah.
But now it's just not the right time. Okay. Ooh, a lagoon would be perfect for Greenland if you're going in the summer. Yes, true. But who knows? Who knows what happens?
Who knows?
Okay. Did you find any good question, Ryan, that you wanted to answer?
Somebody's asking a technical question if like a predominantly AC electrical system would have significant advantages over a DC system on a boat. And I would say no. The DC system is just so simple on the boat. That's the reason you use it. And then only for more, I mean, most devices, even like a TV and stuff, actually run on DC, and then they use inverters to convert the AC power from your plug to DC. So it's actually just, I think, better to have a DC system and have AC when you need it, like to charge things. But yeah.
Jules have asked, what is our ETA for the Azores?
Hopefully the end of June.
Yeah.
I hope. That's my goal.
And we should be in the Azores navigating between islands until September, I think. And by that time...
Yeah, I kind of want to get to the Canaries before or mid-October.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to deal with the weather again.
We don't want to get pounded with the type of weather that we encountered the first time around. So yeah, our plan is to spend July and August in the Azores, September make our way to Madeira, and then end of September make our way south to the Canaries. And if you guys want to come buddy boat with us, you're more than welcome. Also, I think that we are going to open the passages between the Azores and Madeira, and between Madeira to the Canaries to crew. And our patrons have first dibs on crew opportunity. The big Atlantic crossing is one passage that we felt like we couldn't take somebody that we don't know. Although like our patrons are the absolute best people in the world, we just don't feel comfortable taking somebody that we absolutely don't know. It is a very long passage. So
and our boat's really not like three people, so one extra crew.
Yes.
Two can work if they're a couple, but
that's it.
Yeah, so we don't have like tons of crew space either.
Yes.
That's the problem. All
right. How often do you use your third reef? That's a good question. We've used it, I think, only once, and that's when we were sailing in 25, 35 knots wind. Yeah.
We're a little bit conservative on the reef, so like a lot of times we'll even leave port. Like when we leave here in Bonaire, we'll probably leave with one or maybe even two reefs in because we just know what the winds are. So we have no problem like throwing deep reefs in early, and if we just feel like we're not getting any speed, getting over waves, we'll like shake them out. So yeah, but it's a pretty deep reef that we have. It's like a tri-sail almost. So
yeah,
we don't use it a lot,
but it's really good to have. I wouldn't want to go offshore without it. GB, do you have any reactions to the COVID vaccine? Oh my God, yes. So 2 weeks ago, we received the second dose of the Pfizer vaccine, and it was some of the best days of my life, I have to say. And we had no reaction. We heard that you can get like one reaction on the second shot, but we didn't get any. And we are now fully vaccinated people and feeling amazing. All right.
Sorry, I'm just like reading comments and processing a little slowly here.
Wait, I saw one. Okay. Who sings shanty during a storm? That's a good one. I can answer that one.
Who sings the shanty? I don't know. Who answer? I don't know. Not me.
I don't sing during a passage, but typically one thing that I will do is put my noise cancelling headphone in.
Which I hate. I hate when she wears the headphones.
No, but you know what? When you are sailing in 40-knot winds, you're not going to hear much anyways, because the environment is extremely noisy, and you will. So it reduces the noise level, but if there is any shift in the noise behind, you will hear it.
Yeah, but the problem is you don't hear me. You don't hear the person trying to communicate.
No,
with
actually,
you.
I do.
Okay.
I do, because you hear those shifts. So you will hear that somebody is trying to communicate with you. You just like have to remove it. But being able to dampen the noise level around you makes it so much easier to focus on the task. I find that noise is very, very overwhelming.
Yeah,
so,
I still don't like the headphones, but we have a disagreement on this.
It's a personal preference.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Somebody's been asking us a couple times about what did we do to our med kit after you had your burn, which is a really good question. We did a big sit down with a doctor before we went offshore, and so we have a pretty robust med kit. This doctor had crossed the Atlantic the year before and had like essentially an operating room on his boat, and he gave us almost all the stuff. So we have a catheter and like scalpels and tons of bandages, but then he also prescribed us about 40 or 50 different medications, ranging from like creams to put on stuff for infections or bug bites to like painkillers and different antibiotics. So that's the big thing we did. So we have a pretty robust medical cabinet, and then we have his number on file, and he knows what we're out doing. So if we have any issue, we can just call him and he'll help us out with stuff. So that's what we've done, and it's actually come in handy. Like even during lockdown, when there's like the hospital's overwhelmed here, and if one of us gets sick, we at least have some medication on board, and we don't have to go and expose ourselves or others. Just treat something that's actually quite minor.
Ryan has had some ear infections, and I know that during lockdown last year, I had a really bad ingrown toenail, and it sounds really silly, but when that gets infected, it gets really, really bad. And so I was very happy that I had antibiotics with me that took care of the infection and reduced the swelling, and I could wait until I get that ingrown nail taken care of. So you can look for a question, and I'm going to answer one from Heidi and Franny. Okay. Hi! And they asked if we were going to make updates and if they were going to be able to track us across the Atlantic. Yeah. And yes! And even more yes. So when we crossed last year, we have an Iridium Go, and we have a tracker, which is on the first page of our website. And every day I would make an entry with a little summary of how the day went and what happened, and it was really, really fun. And we can see that throughout that period of our Atlantic crossing, a lot of people came on our website to check on us, which was fun. And so this time we have decided that we were going to beef it up, and we have somebody on land who is going to take those entries that I make every day and transform them into a blog post and post them to Facebook and Instagram and sometimes on YouTube if there is anything interesting to talk about. And there's going to be like a better way to follow us, which I am actually pretty excited about. Let me know what you guys think about it. But I remember loving writing about our day. It was definitely something that I enjoyed doing when we were away. Yes. Chris Meadows asked, you guys are asking amazing questions, by the way. I've enjoyed living vicariously through your adventures. So jealous. Chris, one day it will be your turn. You should. Any thought of sailing to Hawaii in your future? Yes.
We've thought about it, yeah. Whether it happens or not, yeah.
We should see, but it is definitely in our plans.
Yes.
So, it's your turn.
I haven't found anything.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm sure there's some specific ones, but. Okay, last chance to ask questions. I'm sure there's some we've missed, but it's really hard to keep up with the comments sometimes. And now, like, our lives have a lot more people on them, so it's a lot of more chatting than we're used to.
Okay, how are you liking the food prices in Bonaire? I was in Bonaire and couldn't believe the price. Some good quality food, though. I would restock on meat and cheese. Yes, the food in Bonaire is a little more expensive, and especially in the restaurants, but the food is amazing, and it is worth what we pay for it. As cruisers, we know how difficult it is to import goods on the island, how difficult it is to work with logistics. So I completely understand that food is more expensive here simply because it is difficult to get it here. But it is so good. I mean, if you go to restaurants, if one day you if one day you go to Bonaire, I need to make a blog post about all the amazing restaurants that we've been to, because it is the absolute best food that we've ever had
It's really
in the
nice,
Caribbean.
yeah.
Simply fantastic.
Let's see here. Iridium Go, are there better options for the Go? I mean, yeah, there are. There are a lot. It's just like a little satellite router that we connect our phones and tablets to. It's slow, but it works. There are other options out there, but they're really, really expensive. There is the new Starlink stuff coming out, but it's not built for boats yet. So it's geo-locked, so you can't use them on a moving platform, but they're working on getting that certified. So we'll see. And then that would change a lot of stuff. But yeah, so that's quite expensive to do. So we'll keep our Iridium Go for now, and it's fine. I actually like getting disconnected for a while and not having internet for a few weeks, because it, I think, resets the brain a bit. We're a bit tied to our phones. I'm
not like that. I'm actually going to have to buy a new phone and have our crew transport a new phone down to Bonaire, because I cannot, there is a part of my touch screen that's on the keyboard that doesn't work anymore. And so I cannot write the letter T. I cannot write brackets. I cannot write the letter R or the letter G. It is, yeah, no, I stand for my addiction to my phone. David asked if we have any dental skills.
Nope.
I would say that's not true.
Okay.
Flossing is a skill.
If I get a cavity, are you going to fix it?
I mean, we have a Dremel tool.
It's true. We have a Dremel tool.
No, but we have, I guess we have painkillers and antibiotics. So if anything happens.
A lot of people want us to come to Las Palmas. That won't be on the way to the Azores, but coming back to the Caribbean, for sure, we're going to stop in Las Palmas.
Yes.
So that would be later in the year.
We're planning on visiting a little more of the Canaries than we saw last time around. Last time we only went to Lanzarote. This time we are planning on going a little around Fuerteventura, to La Gomera, to Las Palmas. Yay! Neil, so we might bump into you in Lanzarote this winter. Yay! The Frog and Roast Beef. That is a good boat name. We
do like Lanzarote a lot. We haven't seen the other islands, so we're gonna try to hit them up. But I'm sure we'll make a stop in Lanzarote, because I like Rubicon a lot.
Yes. Thoughts on inductions cooking from Scott? We actually have a portable induction cooktop on Polar Seal, which I use a lot when we have enough power that I can use it. It's fantastic. It saves us a lot of gas, and gas, especially in the Caribbean and some other remote places of the world, is hard to come across. So it's 100% recommend. If you have the power capacity to have that on board, then definitely.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm looking for questions. It's so hard. My eyes are so bad today.
Do you need glasses, Ryan?
I might.
Here, try this.
It was my birthday 2 weeks ago.
Try this. Yes, Ryan is now 39.
Okay. Those have not gone on my face, right?
Ryan is now 39 years old.
These are not.
How is that?
No.
How do you, like, oh my God, those are Harry Potter glasses. You look like Harry Potter. Okay. Since last year, I cannot live without glasses anymore. I try to remove them in the videos because I'm a little bit conscious, but it's come to the point where I just can't. I need to have them because I can't see what's on the camera if I don't have them.
Somebody just asked, Lift just asked, what tool has stopped us in our track because we didn't have it? That's a great question. What tool has stopped us because we didn't?
Crimper.
I do a lot of my own electrical work, and I didn't have the right size crimper a lot of times. That I would say is a big tool.
A crimper. Last year.
Another tool, there's like a lot of specialty tools, but one tool I've learned you want to carry on board is like for your water heater, to get the heating element out. It's a really, really big nut, and it's quite deep in there. There is no tool that you can find that will fit in there unless it's a specialty tool for that. So I actually just bought that special tool because that is something you need to be able to do, is change that heating element in your water heater. I mean, unless you just don't want hot water, which is fine, but then the dishes are dirty and I get yelled at.
Yeah, no, we cannot have fatty dishes in our cabinets. It's not good. We do have a sewing machine on board. Yes, we don't use it a lot, to be very honest. The reason is that our sails are in really good shape. If our sails were to be torn apart, I think that we would have bigger problems than just our sails.
The sails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we basically never use the sewing machine. It's about life. Can you summarize your plans, as I have only joined now? We're going to the Azores. Yay! We're going to cross the Atlantic twice this year. Woohoo! I'm pretty stoked about it. Yes, I can't wait. Do you have skills get position from stars using a sextant or from stars? Is that a sextant?
Yes, but no.
I answer.
No.
I guess my answer is no then.
Working on it, but no.
What's the biggest advice you would give to a first-time sailor? Get instruction. That is my best advice. I think that one of the reasons why we were successful in our plans to sail is because we learned and we gradually went out of our comfort zone. And so that is one thing that we didn't have to be very frustrated about. Okay. Dave just turned 55 and it just gets better. See?
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. It is getting better.
Any other tool you bought, not because you needed to fix something?
One tool that I bought, I got a little bit of crap for it, but it ended up being fantastic, was I bought a fiber optic endoscope camera with like a line this long. You can, run it down places, and it had a little screen on it, and you could see stuff. And that thing was useful on so many levels. You could see down into places where like water's coming from. You could use it as a line to like run a mouse to like pull other cables through because it was pretty rigid. Yeah, but it just recently broke and I had to throw it out.
Did you not buy a new one?
No, I thought about it, but then I was like,
oh, that's a bummer.
And there's been times since I wish I would have had it.
Because you can buy them for super cheap on Amazon.
With not with USB. The screens. Like you can buy the USB ones for pretty cheap, but the ones with the screens and stuff, which is nice to have because then you have to walk around with your computer. So yeah, that's another tool. So crimper, that, and then all your normal tools. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and like deep sockets are really good to have on board. I didn't have those at first because sometimes the screw lengths are really long when they manufacture the boats, and you can't just use a normal socket on it. You're not going to get a wrench up there. So deep sockets are good with an extender.
Do we fish during our passages? Absolutely, yes. 100% yes. It's actually something that I'm really excited to reconnect with, especially now that we have crew and so more stomachs to eat the fish. Because usually when we fish, we don't really fish when we don't need to, like when we don't need food. But it's kind of fun to, it's fun to fish. Are you planning to put polar seal on the hard during the winter? We're probably going to have to, I think.
Not this year.
Why? You don't think so?
When will we have time?
I'm thinking after the second crossing.
When we get to the Caribbean?
Yeah.
Well, then where are we going to go?
I don't know. I don't know. Well,
I don't think we will.
Probably not then.
I don't think we will. You're going to be on the boat for a while, but that doesn't mean. I think when we get the Azores, we may hop off the boat for a little bit, and I might go to the U.S. for a little while, and you may go to France. Yeah, so we may take a little boat break in the Azores because we'll have some time. But and now that we're vaccinated and travel's opening up a little bit, we feel like we can do that.
If you want our number one secret to cruising life longevity, it is to take breaks on land now and then. And this year we are planning on doing a lot of sailing. And so in our plans, we're also factoring in some time that we're going to be spending on land to just decompress, take a little bit of time off, And yes, that we're going to do. Putting policy on the hard, maybe not. But taking time off, yes. Okay. When do we leave? We leave in 3 weeks. Actually, more 2.5, less than 3 weeks now. It's going to come
hopefully the end of the month.
It's going to come really fast.
20 days.
And if you ask me, it cannot come fast enough. I'm getting really itchy feet.
Yeah, we're getting a little bored. And someone asked about our weight gain or loss, and I think Sophie and I have both gained weight sitting here in Bonaire.
Okay, so during a crossing, I think that we tend to lose weight because we are constantly on the go. You're constantly holding your balance. You are working at night. So yeah, we arrive on the other side of the crossing and we're like, ah! We usually gain it all back after we arrive and we've eaten out for an entire week. During the lockdowns, I just become fat. That's it. There is no way that we can exercise. I drink a lot of alcohol. My life hygiene when we're on lockdown is just terrible. Thankfully, lockdowns should be over now. Fingers crossed. So yeah, it's just the sad reality of life right now.
Yeah, we just have to deal with it as it comes. So yeah, it's hard to work out and stay in shape, and I'm trying, but it's a bit depressing.
Do you have or consider to get a code 0?
I think I would like one, but we just don't have the boat rigged up for it right now.
Where would we store it?
Yeah, that's the other problem. Because of my project that I'm not allowed to talk about, it's a storage issue for some things, but I'm not allowed to talk about that right now.
All right. Do you intend to returning to the Mediterranean in the future? I think yes.
Yeah, but probably not on this boat.
Not on this boat.
But yeah, at some point.
Yes. Sophie, have you given Ryan's French lessons? Why not? Right, I'm going to let you answer that one.
So the thing is I'm a native English speaker and I still can't speak English. So, there's things people are really good at in life. I'm really good at fixing things. I'm really good at thinking through things. I'm really good at finance. I'm horrible at languages, and I can't spell. I can barely read. This is true. That's why I'm staring at that. And so if you get an email from me, there'll be a lot of misspelled words. It's just who I am.
I correct Ryan's English.
Sophie has to correct my English. So when I go down it's just I'm not super good at it. So I will put my energy in things I am really good at and make myself even better.
It's a bit of a fight between us.
It's a bit sad for Sophie because I know I should speak her language, but I'm just so bad at it.
Yes.
So.
Oh well. Julian, finally you speak the truth. It's funny. James asked, I can't believe the cost of your mini washing machine. Could you not fit a smaller apartment size one? Lots cheaper. No, we can't, because washing machines that are built for houses or apartments, they have a huge block of cement in them, which is extremely heavy, and it would completely change the weight profile of the boat.
There's some smaller square ones that you can get. And we looked at those, but we don't have a place to put that. And so that's why we never went with it. And this one, yes, it was expensive. I'm mixed on the drying function that we have on it, but
it's good for sheets and towels.
It takes. I don't think it is, but
it's great.
We differ on this, but yeah, it was expensive, but it fits really well, and I think it's the only thing that we could compromise on. In terms of the space, the size, and it was expensive.
And honestly, James, I agree with you. The first time that we came across this washing machine, I was like, this is way too expensive. There is no way that we're spending so much money on a washing machine. But the reality is that by not having a washing machine on board, we have spent so much money, way more than €1,000 in the last 3 years on laundry. And so it may appear to be expensive, but the alternative is a lot more expensive. So at the end of the day, it balances itself, and not having to go through the hassle of carrying the laundry sometimes for kilometers to go to the laundromat, and then you have to wait for your turn. So you're losing hours, and you have to wait for the laundry to be done, which is hours. Sometimes we can spend days doing the laundries, and it's really disruptive. So not to mention the fact that because laundry is such a hassle, you do it maybe 2 or 3 weeks and you accumulate like a huge load that ends up stinking in a corner of your boat and takes a huge amount of space. Whereas, you know, with the laundry machine, we're able to keep the dirty laundry to an absolute minimum.
Not right now.
The quantity of stinky laundry is super minimum, which is, it really is. I know that it looks expensive, but it's totally worth the price. Yep.
I think we froze up there a minute. So we're almost up on 2 hours and the computer's starting to freeze up. We should probably wrap it up soon.
How did you scroll through this and not see all the beautiful questions?
I've seen a lot of questions.
What will our next boat be realistically?
Oh, that's why I didn't answer that. I have no idea.
Oh, come on.
I have no idea. I just want to keep dreaming.
Yes.
I don't want to ruin my dreams yet.
The thing is, we have a certain budget that we could buy a boat for. The question is more, you know, how old a boat are we willing to buy so that it's sturdy and bigger enough that it's worth buying with the budget that we have. So for now, Polar Seal is still the best boat that we can get for the money that we have. And as long as that's the case, we're going to keep her. But I think that we're pretty set on getting a Garcia. Now, if it's 45, 50 what? 54?
52 and a 52.
52 and a 50, yes. The future will tell. But one thing that you can be assured of, it is not YouTube that will pay for this boat. Okay. Were there any other questions? You bought the Mini because it was irresistibly cute. Absolutely. $30 washing machine that works great. Wow, I want to be in on that secret. No, that's it. What jobs have you still got to do before leaving? We have to change the water heater. We have to install. I don't think we're gonna have to install the new sail.
Yeah, I need to. So we have to change the water heater. I need to fix the rudder. I need to put the new sail on. I need to. If we're gonna put the light wind sail up, we need to put on the top down furler, and then need to do all the rig checking. Put in the new bilge pump. I don't know, a couple days worth of work. I'd say if I can have a few days of work without Sophie getting mad because I'm making too much noise while you're editing.
Yeah.
It's always a battle.
You make a lot of noise. Kids, for now we're mostly set on dogs. That's but we want to sail in the Pacific, so it's a bit complicated to get ducks there. So yeah. So for it's just Ryan and I now. Should we wrap it up now?
Yeah, I think so.
It's been almost 2 hours.
A lot of people on. We had almost 500 people on at one time. That's really
good. I can see that you're getting a little bit tired.
I'm a bit tired. Yeah, it's 7:30. We need to eat some dinner.
Normally you're on top of the chat.
I know.
Going through the question, and now I'm like, Ryan, like, what's going on?
I'm having a low right now.
Yeah, you were a bit tired.
I've been tired all day, and then I had this exciting project I was working on that I can't talk about. Okay.
Did you appreciate each other more or less because of the craziness going on? I think that we will leave this question to the side for now.
Yes.
Did you appreciate me more? No. There is such a thing as being with your partner too much.
We're at that point.
It's that actually happens. All right. And on those good words, we're going to wish you a really good night.
Yeah, no, it was great, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I don't know if we'll do another one of these before we leave, but we'll definitely do one when we get to the Azores. And a big thank you. Well, a big thank you to all our patrons who are on this call.
Yes.
Thanks, our whole community is great, but the patrons are very special to us. But then anybody else who left us a super chat, there's a lot of awesome support tonight, and that means a lot. You don't need to do that, but that really helps us out. So thanks so much, guys. If you have any other specific questions or particular questions, or you in the chat and you're like, oh, I want to know more about this, go on our website and our email, or you can send us an Instagram message, those are harder for us to see, but email and we can
okay, let's set realistic expectations there, because we have been particularly bad at answering emails lately.
Instagram email's been okay.
Really? Do you answer emails?
Yeah,
You're actually pretty good at that.
Answer.
I cannot answer emails. We're like flooded every week under emails, and I'm like, oh.
Last question answer. We do have a website. It's ryanandsophie.com.
Yeah.
So, and our emails are very hard. It's either ryanandsophie.com. Sophie at Ryan.
No, it's hello@ryanandsophie.com.
But we have our own emails.
Yeah, we also have our own emails. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining tonight. We will see you very soon. And tomorrow, I will finish to edit this video that I'm going to publish hopefully tomorrow night on Patreon. I'm really hoping that this week I can do an early release. But if not, I will see you on Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. I think it was your computer freezing.
It is probably my computer that freezes. You're right.